Here's my nightly thought, and that's that releasing your enemies is the key to having low cortisol. And having enemies is the reason for your high cortisol, your stress. And it's the root for, I think, most of your problems. Now, on the surface, you're like, no, like, my problems come from a lot of other places than just people that I don't like. But the thing about that is, let me tell you, your enemies aren't just people that you don't like. Yeah, that includes that. Maybe you have an ex, or maybe one of your friends really bugs you, or one of your family members, you guys hate each other, or maybe there's your boss that you hate, or a coworker, or someone who's actually physically harmed you or someone you love. These are enemies that you might have, that I have had before. But let me tell you, from experience, enemies come in so many other shapes and sizes. Your enemies could be a job that you hate. Do you despise your job? Blaming it for your situation for everywhere you are. Blaming your job for the reason as to why you're not where you want to be. As if you're not the one who's choosing to work your job every day. Your enemies can be your environment. You know, maybe you're in a household that is toxic. That's not very great for your mental health. And you blame that. You're like, well, this is the reason that I'm not where I want to be. You know, I'm unhealthy because my family makes really unhealthy food every night. So I really have to eat that, you know. I'm not rich because my boss won't give me a raise. I'm not rich because my ex really just has a hold on my heart and my brain. Your enemy, and I think this is the case for most people, and they just don't realize it, is that their greatest enemy is actually themselves. You know, people don't think of themselves when they say, what is your greatest enemy? When they think of the enemy, the person that they hate. You can be, and I think for most people, they are their greatest enemy, whether they realize it or not. Because the thing about your greatest enemy, it's not the person who's in opposition from you. Your greatest enemy is usually the person closest to you. And for most people, that's themselves. You spend 24 hours a day with yourself. And for most people, we lie to ourselves every day. I'm not healthy because of my genetics. I'm not rich because of my job and the city that I live in. Like, I'm not fully responsible for what goes in and out of my body. Like, I'm not responsible for the steps that I take and the weight that I move. Like, I'm not responsible for what I spend my money on. Like, I don't have the opportunity to pack up and leave right now. Your enemy could be fear. Fear keeps you controlled. Let me tell you, fear is one of the only things that isn't real. It exists in your mind. It's this enemy that you've created. It only exists in your head. It's not real. And you're holding on to it, and it's keeping you captive. It's keeping you in chains. This fear is, this enemy of yours, it's keeping you chained to the ground, holding you back because you keep blaming this enemy for all of your problems, when in reality, you're fully responsible. I saw somebody say something on TikTok today, and it said, why does the best music only play in creative mode? On Minecraft, that is. And one of the replies was, because when you stop fearing death, that is when you truly start to live. Hebrews 2, 14 through 15, for example. It says that Christ breaks the power of death and frees people who were held in slavery by their fear of death. Held in slavery by their fear of death. Matthew 16:25. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. If you live your life in fear, you will never be able to lose yourself for yourself. Because let me tell you, if you're trying to find yourself, you have to lose who you are. Close your eyes. I know that there is a version of you that you want to be, that you envision right now. Maybe you're rich, maybe you're happy, maybe you're successful, maybe you're with a certain person. If you now isn't the person who's that, and you're not going towards that, you're not going to find that being who you are. You're holding on to these enemies. Whether it's a person, yourself, your environment, fear, you need to let go. You need to release these enemies. And that's where you'll find yourself. To become the person you want, you must destroy the person you are. And in destroying who you are, in letting go of who you are, and a large part of who you are is your fears and your subconscious doubts and worries and your enemies that you hold on to. Once you let go of this fear and these enemies, that is when you truly give yourself the opportunity to live. That's when you give yourself the opportunity to let go and finally start being who God intended you to be. Release your enemies. Your cortisol will hit the floor, and you will find a new appreciation for life and yourself. You'll find a new sense of love for those around you. You'll find a new sense of charity, giving for others. You'll find forgiveness and grace that you can pass out to those around you. And I think most importantly, that you can pass out to yourself. Because if you can't pass out forgiveness to yourself, then you will have nothing. And if you pass out forgiveness to yourself first, even if you have nothing, you will have everything. That might not make sense, but when you experience it, it does. Forgive your enemies, no matter what that is.